what can they join and be a part of today, that's going to grow their business, because they're not coming to you for what's going to grow their business in 5 years. They want to know, like, Bryant, what are you doing that's going to help grow my business today? Welcome back to our little fireside chat at the farm. We're toying around with the idea of calling this the Run Your Race podcast, just in honor of being the Dark Horse Group. But really what I want to talk about today is really building Dark Horse Group and how we built our real estate team from the ground up. One of the interesting things about the Dark Horse Group in general is, we really built it from scratch, like absolutely
Bootstrap.
nothing. I think bootstraps is such a good name for it, but I think initially, like, how did you get into real estate? Because you were the first one to get here.
When we first got started, so we're going to take it all the way back to Fort Bragg before we were even in real estate. Real estate wasn't a thought. Stationed here for 6.5 years at Fort Bragg. Once I got out, Elizabeth and I had moved out to California. During that time frame, she had a career, I had a career, none of which were relating to real estate. So I managed targets, and when I was in that role, the pay was great, but it was nights, weekends, and holidays, and I couldn't even say I was doing it for my country anymore. So it was a grind, that W-2 life, and I wanted more, super passionate about real estate investment, like I think a lot of us are. So kind of went down that rabbit hole, and that kind of led me to, like, I want to get my real estate license. So got my California real estate license. Didn't have a North Carolina license at the time, just got the license, sold our neighbor, we sold their home to them, and shortly after that, I walked into Target one day, I handed in the keys to my Target, and for dinner that evening, over Chinese food, said, hey, quit my job, I want to do real estate full time, and I want to do it in North Carolina. So I think that was probably quite the surprise, since we were in California and we had a house. So from there, 2 weeks later, packed up the bags, moved cross country without a real estate license in North Carolina, got a rental house, and that same year, off of a $20 Target fold-up table, sold over 100 homes.
Yeah. I think you had been looking at real estate for a little bit of time at that point. We had both reached this moment in our careers where we realized that there wasn't a bonus, there wasn't a pay raise, there wasn't anything that was going to really set us financially free. We had to move towards the entrepreneur route. So we had both kind of come to that decision. I would say it took me much longer than it took him. But yeah, he hit me with that over dinner one night and was like, I'm moving. And he did. 2 weeks later, you packed up the SUV and you moved. And from that, as the solo agent, I would say it was less than 2 years later that you started the team, which was Tumbelekis Realty Group at the time.
Everybody has different goals. I'm super competitive. For any of y'all that know me, I think you could certainly attest to that. The goal was never to be number one in our local MLS. The goal was to be number one in the country. That started in the mindset of being an individual agent, and then it very quickly became much more than just me. That was kind of the transition from being an individual agent to I want to build something for multiple individuals so I can support this bigger mission and goal that didn't just serve me. That was kind of the trajectory of that, and it happened very fast.
First full year as a team, I think you hit number one in the MLS.
Yep, first full year as a team, we were number one in the MLS. Every single year that we've been in real estate, individually have sold over 100 homes every single year. And every single full year our team has been in real estate, we have sold, I believe that first year it was somewhere around 375. After that, it's been over 400 every single year. So it's been fast moving, action packed.
Yeah, definitely fast moving. And I think a lot of people want to know, why did we move over from Tumbelekis Realty Group to Dark Horse? Kind of, where did Dark Horse come from?
With the move, coming to an area which I was stationed at, but I wasn't from Fayetteville. And I think a large portion of the people that get into real estate in this area tend to be from the area. If they are military, they tend to affiliate with a large legacy brokerage type model where it's kind of a good old boy that owns it and runs it, and it gets passed down from generation to generation. So when we came out here, we were in a cloud-based brokerage, which was pretty popular at the time on the West Coast, but it hadn't made it to North Carolina specifically.
I think you were agent number seven for this region for that specific brokerage.
Yeah, so it was crazy. It was very isolating, and I think a lot of people weren't counting on our success. We had talked to multiple brokerages when I was making the move over here, and it was kind of, you have to be a buyer's agent first. You can't buy homes and represent buyers and also list. You can't be a team leader and still be in production. So there were all these kind of old school vibes that, like, again, being competitive, I just really didn't like it, and I didn't believe in that. So that's what kept us at the model, the cloud-based model. And I think that's what motivated me. The more I thought about Tumbelekis Realty Group and it being named after myself, it motivated me to transition to Dark Horse Group, because this had always been about something more than just me. And then I look at the old school traditional legacy brokerages, and they were all named after someone. I mean, that's just how they operated, and you had to earn your stripes there, and you had to be part of the good old boys club, and I just didn't love that. So
I actually remember very specifically after we were, like, I think midway through 1 year, and you'd probably sold 50 homes or more at that point. And I remember you said, come look at this email. And a team leader, a very prominent team leader, had actually emailed you, hey, Bryant, we're so glad to start doing business with you. And it was the first offer that they accepted from us after many unexplained, we'll call it, not accepted offers. And it was sort of like you had to prove yourself, actually, before there were certain team leaders that would even accept your offer. So anyway, this area has been just kind of wild.
Yeah,
in that sense.
It's a little painful when you think about it, but it really is a funny story looking back on it. And I'm super grateful. Through transacting at a high level, I had kind of informal mentor who was a broker owner for a smaller brokerage, and he was prior service military. So he kind of, like, I would call him every once in a while with these interactions, and I'm like, man, what's going on? And he'd kind of give me, like, a vibe check on how these things were. Yeah. And when I got that email, I was like, so this really is what's happening.
Yeah. So I think the iconography of the Dark Horse is definitely something that we've always identified with. It was definitely, I mean, I remember there was another instance where we had briefly joined a brokerage, and as we were leaving, they basically said something along the lines of, like, well, you don't have that many listings, so you're not going to last anyways. And it was a really interesting thing. We'd already hit number one in the MLS at that point, so it was kind of interesting. But the point is, like, I think just having that build from scratch, grit and determination that it has taken to push into this market, to really come here with no spear. Obviously, you were stationed here, and so you had, I think, familiarity with the market. But I mean, by the time we got back out here, I mean, everybody that you knew had pretty much PCS'd
yeah,
out.
They'd already PCS'd or ET.
You always think everybody's going to, like, buy with you when you get started in real estate, but you definitely have to make your way. So that was true of this market. I would say, and we've kind of gone over it, I guess, but, like, the early challenges of building this team. I mean, I would say definitely breaking into what we would very affectionately call the good old boys club. And then I think also what would you say the turning point was between, okay, we've built this team, to kind of where we're going now?
It's a roller coaster ride running a team and building it. And as you build to scale, there's glass ceilings where you hit and you can't get through it until you solve X, Y, and Z. So I think, like, that 30 to 40 agent range, which is incredible, and anybody that builds to that level, absolutely incredible. But that's one of those glass ceilings, and that's kind of where I felt we have been stuck. And I think getting to that next level, there were a series of things that we had to do to break through that. I would say about June, July of this year was honestly that breakthrough for that level to get to that next scale. So, I mean, now, today, we're sitting at 66 agents, and right in that June to July, end of June, early July timeframe of 2025, we were sitting at 28 agents, and that was kind of when it clicked. It was that idea of having a mission statement that everybody knew that was a part of the organization, creating those leader ethos, having complete understanding and alignment of where Dark Horse intends to go. And then with that, it makes it so much easier for agents to understand where we're going. And everything we do goes back to, is this in alignment with our mission? And I think from there, that's when it gets explosive, because the conversations are different with the agents. The conversations are different with staff. It then in turn makes it very easy to take things to that next level and be laser focused.
I would say that difference between the kind of 20 to 30 agent count to, I would say, the 55 to, and, you know, probably the next bracket, let's say 75 or whatever, but the amount of effort and energy that it took to get there, you're fighting for like inches, you know. It feels like, I think in a lot of ways, making it to that next point took a lot of effort and focus and energy than I think we even had counted on initially, you know. It's definitely like a huge jump in, I think, the creation of a vision that encompasses everyone's vision. You know,
and I think you're sitting there as a leader, and at that level, you know, 20 agents, 30 agents, and even into that 40 agent range, you're wearing so many hats. And if you aren't wearing so many hats, all your revenue and profit is going out the window. So if you're doing it correctly, you're wearing so many hats. So you're almost stuck on the hamster wheel as well. So like you just get stuck in that shifting of hats. You recruit some agents, then you focus on sales, then you're trying to build the business, then your transaction coordination, and you get caught up in all that. So then once you get to that level, you really you have to get everything dialed in. You have to treat it like a true business where you have that mission statement. You have quarterly, annually goals, and there's some sort of accountability to everything you're doing with your agents before you can break through to that next level. And then from there, you start being able to make the right hires to support, because there's a clear mission, there's a clear goal, there's values of your organization to hire to, because you can't just hire anybody. And we felt that before, where you make the wrong hire and it kills culture, or it stalls production, it stalls growth. So like, it's so critical.
One of the biggest lessons that we've learned this year especially is, if you're not in alignment with whoever you're in business with, it will never work. It will always feel tense. You know, it'll always feel hard. It'll always feel like, why isn't this working? And it's because you're not in alignment. And I know for us, it's like we would 100 times rather make less money and be in alignment according to the values that we hold and Dark Horse holds than just kind of going any way the wind turns, and it's fine that, you know, you're getting pulled in 57 different directions that you don't even want to be in. I think that was part of the focus of making that jump from the 20 to 40 agent mark to, you know, getting into the 60s and heading into the 70s and above here. I guess my last question would be, where do you see the team in 5 years?
Get that question a lot, and it's like, where do you see in 5 years? And I think like I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I mean, a really great one recently, and I'm not one that throws out a bunch of audiobooks, but the 12-week year is fascinating. And a year is so big, and you set so many goals in that window that by the time you get to that end of the year and you have failed at achieving your goals, an entire year's gone. So if you structure your goals in much more shorter time frames that are achievable, trackable, you can get other people on board for. It's a lot easier to achieve and exceed goals. So when I think about it that way, I keep our goals much tighter in terms of time out. So, I mean, this year, at the beginning of the year, we were at 20 agents. Bless you. We were at 20 agents at the beginning of the year. We're now at 66 agents. Our goal by year end is to have over 100 agents. Bless you again. That the fireside chat's getting you. But so our goal is to have 100 agents by year end. So with that, once we achieve 100 agents by year end, that positions us to sell over 1,000 homes in 2026. With that, our goal is to add an additional 100 agents, so we'll have over 200 agents by year end. That will position us to do over 2,000 units and put us right in the running to be the number one real estate team in the country. The goals are big, obviously, but they're very specific, measurable, and actionable. So it stays in alignment with SMART goals, but keeping them in a much smaller range of 2 years, I think that's relatable to the agents. Agents, even as leaders, 5 years, we don't know what we're doing in 5 years. Things could change. So many things could change. So keeping it short and tight, I think, makes so much more sense. That's what I would say.
I think also people are joining the vision today. Yes, we're still going to be here in 5 years. We're still going to be on the map. But in terms of where exactly will we be, I think that agents are not asking that question so much as what can they join and be a part of today, that's going to grow their business, because they're not coming to you for what's going to grow their business in 5 years. They want to know, Bryant, what are you doing that's going to help grow my business today? And so I think that makes sense.
Completely agree.
If you are an agent and you are looking for a team that has growth, grit, and vision, check out the Dark Horse group. We would love to chat with you. Hit the like and subscribe button for more.
Thank you.